my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope. Today we're going to take a look at my team selection video for Game Week 4. But before we do that, we're going to check out my Game Week 3 score, which was not the best actually. It was one of my worst game weeks so far. Well, out of the 3 game weeks, it's been my worst because this was sort of a game week for the template team with players like Fernandes and Rashford doing really well. And Fernandes is someone that I actually sold this game week for Foden. And on paper, that wasn't the worst transfer, but it ended up being pretty bad because Foden had an illness going into his match, and that meant that he came on for the last 5 minutes to score only 4 points. At least he got an assist because I would have been extra salty if he had just come on for 1 point and blocked Udogi's 12 points from the bench. So I was already kind of upset that he came on to block the Udogi points, but at least he got an assist, so I got something to be happy about. But in general, transfers didn't really work out this game week, but I wasn't too unhappy with them either because I needed to do Rashford to Foden to fund the move from Joao Pedro to Alvarez. And personally, I think Alvarez was really unlucky not to get a massive haul this game week because he was really close to getting a goal. Fotheringham saved it with his fingertips barely. And then right after that, he was millimeters again from getting an assist this time if Haaland had scored his penalty when he scored, or he hit the post and out rather than into the goal. And now Alvarez had another pretty big chance in the second half as well. So in terms of being in the right positions, playing 90 minutes for Manchester City against Sheffield United and taking free kicks for Manchester City, I feel like Alvarez was actually a really good pick, but it ended up just being 2 points. So that's just what happens sometimes in FPL. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Selling Rashford was always a risk, and him getting 2 assists, 1 regular assist and 1 FPL assist, winning the penalty, was not really that surprising, but at the same time, 7 points is something I can live with. I think I could have easily beaten that score in pretty much any other game week where Man City plays against Sheffield United with Foden and Alvarez playing most of the minutes. But sadly, the illness for Foden and just the lack of luck for Alvarez means that I lost out on the points in terms of the transfers. But going forward, I feel pretty good about Foden and Alvarez at least. So yeah, Foden looked actually really good for like the 5 minutes that he got, especially considering he had an illness and only got to play 5 minutes. He almost assisted Alvarez straight away after he came on, after City had just conceded, but Alvarez had that poor finish to his final chance of the game. But yeah, transfers didn't work out. The team in general wasn't the best. In goal, I had Onana with 0 points. Conceded twice really early on against Nottingham Forest. At that point, it was not really salvageable. Chilwell got 6 points. He got a clean sheet against Luton. Not much more though. Gusto got 14 points on the opposite wingback, but Chilwell still looks the more attacking and better prospect going forward, especially since Gusto is going to lose his place to Reece James and then probably gain it back again when Reece James gets injured again. But either way, I'm pretty happy with Chilwell going forward. Saliba, only the 1 point. Really sad / kind of annoyed that I didn't bench him for Udogi before the game week. I talked about that in last week's team selection video, that I was looking into potentially benching either Saliba or Eze for Udogi. What I could have done was just done the 1 transfer, Rashford to Foden, and not done the Alvarez transfer, and just benched Pedro for Udogi. That would have given me a lot more points and had given me another transfer to make for this game week, because the only thing with Alvarez is his minutes might be diminished now with Jeremy Doku and Matheus Nunes joining Man City now. But still, I'm pretty bullish when it comes to Alvarez's minutes. I feel like he's a decent option. But moving on with my team, Onana 0 points, Chilwell 6 points, Saliba 1 point. Estupiñán got 1 point against West Ham. That was the one bright spot in the game week actually. The fact that my personal favorite team, West Ham, beat Brighton and were top of the league for a day. That was a highlight for me in an otherwise pretty poor game week. But Estupiñán only with the 1 point, but I wouldn't worry about Estupiñán at all. I'm going to talk more about that in the team selection part of this video, where I look into my Game Week 4 team selection, because yeah, I think Estupiñán is still being severely underrated in this game, even though he's the most owned defender so far in the game. But we'll talk more about that later. Salah once again taking along with another assist, 5 points in each and every match so far. I feel like he's still close to exploding at some point in one game, so maybe that will happen. I'm still kind of unsure about Salah, but we'll talk about him later. He got a really nice assist for Darwin Núñez to secure the winning goal against Newcastle for Liverpool. So Salah again proved his worth in terms of playing every minute for Liverpool, who are going to be an attacking and really good side. Even with 10 men, they managed to score twice against Newcastle, which is one of the best defenses in the league, at St James's Park as well. So yeah, tells you something about Liverpool offensively, that the fact that I have Salah is because of that. He's the most nailed Liverpool attacker and Liverpool are really good offensively. Then Foden, who we talked about, got an assist. Saka actually got a goal, which was a penalty, which was really nice to see for those of us to have Saka as a player. There were some fears that Ødegaard was going to take over as a penalty taker after he scored the penalty in Game Week 2 against Crystal Palace, but Saka stepped up this time and scored a penalty. He's also the most involved player for Arsenal, so he still looks like a great pick going forward. Eze, who's the other one I was potentially benching for Udogie, another blank for him. Kind of running out of patience with Eze, so he might be on the out. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to sell him or not, but he has pretty decent fixtures going forward. So that's a shame with Eze. That those are the worst kind of players to have in FPL. I feel like those players that are underperforming their expected points, because you kind of have to keep them, but at the same time you kind of just want to get rid and get someone better. So that's the big decision for me with Eze next week. But yeah, had probably his worst game of the season so far. 2 points against Brentford. But yeah, that's a tough team to play against Brentford, so that's why I probably should have benched him for Udogie, especially now with the hindsight of Udogie's 12 points. And Mbeumo, 2 points, no qualms about benching him, or starting him, sorry. He played against Crystal Palace, which is a tough team to break down, and he got 2 points because of it, but at the same time, Mbeumo is on penalties, he plays 90 minutes. He's proven earlier in the season as well that he is a really good pick. Unlike Eze, Brentford, and unlike Crystal Palace, I should say, Brentford actually been a pretty good offensive side this season. So yeah, I'm not worried about Mbeumo at all going forward. They still have really good matches. So yeah, really like Mbeumo. Haaland captain missed a penalty, which was double negative for me because I had him as captain, I guess, which everyone else had. So that didn't really matter that much. But more the fact that Alvarez didn't get his assist either, and an early goal for Man City would have done so much different for that game. I think Alvarez could have had bigger chances to score if they had the early lead against Sheffield United, and also if they had like a clear lead against Sheffield United, I think Foden would have stayed on the bench and I would have had Udogie coming off the bench for my team as well. So yeah, real shame that Haaland missed that penalty. I wish he had missed the penalty the week before when I didn't captain him, but he blanked that game week at least. So Haaland, but still Haaland is still the best player in the game. I still think he's going to be on Pence for what it's worth. But if he drops Pence, that's going to go to Alvarez, who got 2 points, which was the biggest disappointment this game week. I was actually more disappointed with the missed chance of Alvarez than I was with Foden getting subbed on, because I was kind of just preparing mentally for Foden to be subbed on and blocking the Udogie points. But yeah, Alvarez still looked good. I still think he's decent for minutes, and yeah, 2 points, just unfortunate really. And on the bench I had Turner, 3 points, 3 points more than Onana. I still wish I had Areola, who got 5 points, but yeah, that's a luxury transfer that I can't really afford to make. Udogie, who I mentioned, got an assist, 12 points, really good from him. So yeah, shame that I didn't get those points, but I'm going to play him more going forward. He proved his worth as a really good FPL option, so I'm happy about that, at least, that I've been talking about Udogie pretty early on in preseason. I mentioned Udogie as like a nailed attacking defender for Spurs, who are going to be better this season, especially going forward with their fullbacks like Udogie. So happy about the points, just really unhappy that I didn't get the points in my actual starting 11, but it's better to have the points on the bench than not having the player at all. So yeah, pretty happy with that in total. Kabore, 1 point. Luton don't look the best, so yeah, I'm not 100% sure about him as the 4.0 pick. I think there are better 4.0 defenders like Gusto, who's now 4.1. I wish I had him from the start of the season, but that would have been also another benching headache. Maybe I would have used the bench boost if I had Gusto rather than Kabore, if I had done like a transfer for Archer rather than doing the Pedro transfer potentially. But yeah, that's a different story that we don't have to get into. Archer, speaking of him, he was actually Aston Villa player when this game week started, but he is now a Sheffield United player, and that's great news for him because he's going to start pretty much every game. He got number 10 for Aston Villa, got number 10 for Sheffield United as well. So he's also looking like a better pick going forward. So I'm pretty happy with my squad in general. Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, just before we move on to the squad, let's just talk about the overall ranks and stuff, because in this video series, I used to have like how many points I was behind world number 1, but yeah, I'm 96 points behind world number 1 now, so I'm not going to highlight that as much going forward. But at the same time, who knows really how far I am behind world number 1, because there's currently like a small thing here in FPL with a lot of Indonesian teams going like all the way to the top. There's a lot of Indonesian teams in the same like small league and stuff. So there are some talks about foul play, some people claiming that there are bots and stuff. So I don't really know about that, but it seems like there could be some teams dropping out of the whole system that are going to be banned from FPL. Because I think like 17 out of the first 20 or something teams are in the same Indonesian like small mini league, or not small, but like in the same mini league from Indonesia. So yeah, that's one part of the reason why I've dropped role number 1. The other is that I'm so far behind. So yeah, it doesn't really matter that much. And I also want to highlight the top 10K because that's my big goal every single season, to get into the top 10K. And I've also made the proclamation that I'm going to, if I don't get into the top 10K this season, or if I don't reach 10K subscribers for this YouTube channel by the start of next season, I'm going to quit the FPL. At least just potentially just play a zombie team next season, because for preseason next year I need to have like a FPL team going to do the transfers and stuff. But yeah. So hopefully I managed to get into the top 10K. Otherwise, I need to get 10K subscribers, and that's where you come in. Hopefully you can help me with that and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm hoping to give you a lot of nice content coming up. We have an international break next week, so I'm gonna do some more like different type of content. I'm gonna talk a little bit about XG, talk a little bit about some other stuff, some potential players to look into, the fixture strength for Newcastle. Going to discuss a couple of different things for the international break next week, so I'll have some nice videos for you that week as well. And as always, I'm going to have this same schedule as well. Mondays is the weekend walkthrough, where I look through the weekend's matches. Tuesdays, I have sometimes the zombie team update, sometimes I'm going to have different videos, sometimes I'm going to take a day off. Wednesdays, we have the weekly wildcard draft, where I do a wildcard draft pretty much every single week, or I am going to do a wildcard draft every single week. And I've seen a lot of other YouTubers now kind of jump on that trend of doing like wildcard teams more regularly. So yeah, maybe it's because I made that trend, maybe. I don't know, probably not, because my channel is still pretty small, but I don't know. It's nice to see at least that people are doing the same sort of idea, but I should get the credit. So but either way, Thursdays is for the FPL Scope podcast, where I talk with my good friend and co-host Kevin about his plans, and we also look into the Manager of the Week plans. And you can join, if you want to be the Manager of the Week, you can join the FPL Scope Mini League with the league code V9JT0D. And if you are the highest scoring manager in that mini league for a week, you'll get featured on the podcast with your score from that past game week, and then we're going to look into your plans for the next game week as well. So plenty of good content. So please subscribe. Try to get me closer to the goal of 10K subscribers, which is pretty far off, but hopefully in a year from now we'll get there together. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's move into the reason that you clicked on this video in the first place, the team selection. So yeah, these are my current plans and my current team. Just going to talk about the transfers pretty quickly first before we look into the team in general, because I think the team is looking really good, especially the outfield players. I have 9 out of 10 outfield players, 9 out of 11 in total play at home this game week, so that's really good. At the same time, they have some pretty good fixtures as well. Pretty happy with the triple city against Fulham at home. I feel like the best offensive team in the league against the worst defensive team in the league, having 3 attacking City players. Hopefully this is the week where I get some extra points from having the City players when they blanked against Sheffield United last week. But yeah, when it comes to the transfers, I have one transfer that I'm pretty sure I'm going to make, and that is Onana to Flekken, because I'm not that confident in Man United defensively. Onana is 5.0 as well, so that makes it more viable. If I had a 4.5 goalkeeper, that wouldn't be the same interesting transfer for me, because I wouldn't earn any money from it. But especially for me, who has Salah in his team, money is kind of an issue. So getting the extra money anywhere I can get it is probably like really helpful for me. And that's what you can see in the likely or potential transfers. If I do the Onana to Flekken move, which I'm most likely going to do, because Flekken seems like the best goalkeeper in FPL currently, I think. If I do that move, I have the exact money to do Eberechi Esse to Sterling, but it is for a -4 hit. I don't have 2 transfers. I have only 1 free transfer. That's why I'm kind of hesitant, because Eze has a good fixture after all, Wolverhampton at home. I could potentially give Eze one final chance to prove himself, but at the same time, Sterling plays against Nottingham Forest at home, and I really want Sterling rather than Eze from next game week onwards. And currently, if I do Onana to Flekken, I have the exact money to do Eze to Sterling, now that Sterling is 7.2. That it costs 7.2, so yeah, I could still potentially wait until next game week and do the transfer at the start of the next game week. That's also an option, but I don't know. I feel like Sterling's upside is pretty good as well against Nottingham Forest, but you always had a fear of selling Esse and him getting a major haul and him being like the next bandwagon. Like, I've done that mistake before, so yeah, I'm a little bit unsure, but I really want Sterling, especially for Game Week 5 against Bournemouth, because he's really good against Bournemouth traditionally. Even last year when he struggled, he scored against Bournemouth, as he always does. So yeah, I really want Sterling in my team, and I can get it exactly if I do Onana to Flekken and then do a -4 hit for Eze to Sterling. So yeah, I'm about, I don't know, 90% sure I'm going to do Onana to Flekken. It maybe not. Maybe I'll save the transfer. That's the other option I have. And I'm about 90% sure about Onana to Flekken, and then Eze to Sterling. I'm probably around like 60-40 in terms of doing it. 60% in favor of doing the transfer, even for the -4 hit. So please tell me down in the comments down below, would you do that? Would you do that move yourself? A -4 to go from Eze to Sterling, because Eze has Wolverhampton at home, and Sterling has Nottingham Forest at home. But over the next few fixtures, if you look at the fixture ticker here, Chelsea have way better fixtures than Crystal Palace. Well, not way better, but they have quite a lot better fixtures than Crystal Palace. Sorry about that. Crystal Palace have really good home games. Wolves at home, Fulham at home, Nottingham Forest at home. So maybe I should just keep Eze, but at the same time, my patience is running kind of thin with him after having him in my squad. So for those of you without Eze in your squad, this might seem like a silly transfer, but I don't know. I really want Sterling. I feel like Sterling is going to have a really good year. Even with Cole Palmer joining, I don't think that will affect Sterling that much. I think Sterling is going to push on to be the top goal scorer for Chelsea this season. He's going to be a really important player for them. And I feel like not having either Jackson or Sterling currently is kind of suicide in FPL. So yeah, I feel pretty good about Sterling, but yeah, kind of want to wait to do that move for next week, because Eze can easily outscore Sterling this game week at least. So yeah, that's my conundrum. But other than that, the team, Onana in goal. If I don't do the transfer, if I do the transfer, I get Flekken against Bournemouth at home, which is a really nice fixture. And then next week, I think I'd have a pretty good Turner fixture, if I'm not mistaken. Once again, go back to the fixture ticker. The rotation between Turner, who plays for Nottingham Forest, plays Burnley at home, while Flekken has his one difficult match, Newcastle away. So it's a pretty good rotation still, having those two goalkeepers. I'd have Flekken against Bournemouth at home, Everton at home, Nottingham Forest away, and I'd have Turner against Burnley at home and Crystal Palace away. So that seems like a pretty good rotation for me in terms of the goalkeepers. I wouldn't have to do the Turner to Areola move either. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about, or I would be pretty happy about getting Flekken in my team rather than Onana, especially since Man United look pretty poor defensively, and Brentford have had pretty good numbers defensively at least this season. So yeah, but yeah, either Flekken or Onana in goal, most likely Flekken. In defense, Chilwell against Nottingham Forest at home. Udogie finally starting for me against Burnley away. And then Estepinian, I said earlier I was going to talk more about Estepinian. I've seen people talk about benching him for several game weeks. I've seen people even talking about selling him, and I think that's absolutely crazy. He's gone up from 5.0 to 5.3. I think Estepinian is sort of in the same echelon as Trippier was last season. He's just a season keeper. Like, there's no reason to sell him before like 3 or 4 like tricky fixtures, I guess. And then you'd have to get him back when they have better fixtures from game week 9 or game week 8 onwards, and you lose money from it as well, especially if you had him from the start. But I think Estepinian is just so attacking that it doesn't really matter who they play. He can get points against anyone. I've made this point a couple times now that last season when Arsenal were in the hunt for the Premier League title, they played against Brighton, and Estepinian got a goal and an assist and clean sheet and 3 bonus. What is it? 18 points for that. So yeah, he can score 18 points against anyone really. That's same for Brighton as well. Like, they have been poor defensively, but the reason that they've been so poor defensively is the fact that they just keep pushing forward. They send so many players into attack, including Estepinian, who's creating a lot of chances and is like pretty much one of the best defenders in the game. I think only Chilwell is the one that could rival him. So I think Estepinian is someone you can easily play in most game weeks. Definitely someone you can keep for the long haul. And yeah, I just don't see the reason in either selling him or benching him, to be honest. I'm most likely going to start him most game weeks, but maybe if my team is really strong, I won't bench him, or I will bench him. But yeah, I think Estepinian is still, like I said earlier in the video, still like underrated as an asset for some reason. But yeah, he did get 1 point against West Ham, but that is against West Ham, so what you're going to do? You're going to concede against West Ham. But yeah, Salah at home against Aston Villa. This is sort of also Salah's last chance. The other thing I have to talk about with this as well is the fact that Salah is still linked with going to Saudi Arabia. The deadline day is today, if you're watching this video as it is released. I'm recording this on Thursday night, so if there are stronger rumors about Salah, or if potentially if Salah is leaving before the deadline, is leaving for Saudi Arabia, then I would rather just do the Salah to Sterling move outright and just stick with that, I think. So yeah, that's a potential other transfer I can do. But I think Salah is going to stay, and I think he's going to stay in my team as well. He gets another chance against Aston Villa. If he blanks against Aston Villa, then maybe I'll sell him next game week. There are other good options like Madison. Bruno Fernandes is someone that I'd like to get in potentially at some point. But yeah, Salah for now. He gets another chance to prove himself. Foden as well. He needs to prove himself against Fulham. He's also like sort of on the chopping block if he doesn't perform. But I think he's going to keep playing that a lot for Man City, even though they have those new signings. So against Fulham at home, at least, I don't think Doku is going to play that much. I don't think Nunes is going to be ready for that game either. So Foden is going to play unless he gets another illness. So yeah, I'm expecting good points for Foden against Fulham. Then Saka against Man United. I think you could easily score. It's at home against Man United. That's also the only player I have in that fixture, which is very rare when it comes to FPL. But yeah, SA, like I said, might give him a last chance against Wolverhampton. Otherwise, that would be Sterling against Nottingham Forest. So that's also a decent fixture, whether I have SA or Sterling. It's just a matter of if I should do that transfer or not. And Mbeumo against Bournemouth at home, expecting good points from Mbeumo again after one blank. I think he's going to go straight back into it again and score a goal or get an assist, get some points. Haaland, easy captain choice against Fulham at home. The only reason Haaland wouldn't be the best captain is if he is injured or out for some reason, or if he's rested, doesn't play the whole game. And if that's the case, then Alvarez comes in as my captain because he's my vice captain, and Alvarez plays against Fulham, so that's sort of why I have. It makes sense. I think Foden is more likely to get more points than Alvarez, but if Haaland doesn't play, then Alvarez is going to get more points than the Foden most likely. So yeah, that's why I have Alvarez as vice captain, even though I think Foden will get more points than him. Then on the bench, I have Turner against Chelsea away. Yeah, I don't really consider playing him over Onana. I know Onana plays against... I do actually have Onana. I forgot to mention that when I said that I only have Saka from that game, but most likely I'll do Onana to Flekken anyway. So yeah, with Flekken especially, I'm going to start him regardless. Even if I keep Onana, I'm going to start him over Turner. Then on the bench, I also have Saliba, another Arsenal or Man United player, but he's not in my starting 11. He plays against Man United at home, but I don't think he's going to keep a clean sheet. And yeah, that's why he's a pretty easy guy to bench. Kabore, I actually think I'm going to have Archer as my second bench and Kabore as my third bench. But yeah, Kabore plays against West Ham at home. Not really expecting many points from that. I hope he concedes a lot because I hope West Ham win and go top of the league again. And then Archer against Everton at home is actually an interesting fixture because Everton haven't been that good lately. But Everton at the same time haven't really... They got destroyed by Aston Villa, but a lot of people will concede a lot of goals to Aston Villa. But against the lesser teams like Wolverhampton and Fulham that Everton have played, they barely... Like, they conceded one goal from, like, very few chances. So I think even if you have, like, someone like Pickford or something, just keep him for this game week at least, because yeah, Everton have been really close to having 2 clean sheets so far. And if Pickford had 2 clean sheets so far, it would have been a completely different story in terms of people wanting to sell him or not. So yeah, I think Onana to Flekken makes more sense as a transfer than Pickford to Flekken, because I saved the money as well from that transfer. And the fixture that Onana has is much tougher than Pickford. So yeah. But anyways, that is my team. Those are my plans. There's only one more thing that I need to discuss, and that is West Ham, my favorite team, like I've mentioned a couple times in this video. I would very much like to do a punt on West Ham, so I could do as I do Bowen if I'm feeling really frisky, but I think just long term that would make no sense really. So yeah, Sterling is just a better pick long term than Bowen, so that's why I'm gonna stick with Sterling, even though I know Kimo, who is another founding member of the FPL Scope, he has actually brought in Bowen rather than Sterling, which is kind of interesting. But he had Jackson from before as well. So, but yeah, I think Sterling is going to be better going forward. But the one player I really would have wanted to have in my squad would be Mikel Antonio, but I can't really sell Alvarez to get Antonio, and I don't have the money to do Archer to Antonio, even if I do the Onana to Flekken move. So Antonio is someone that I would really like to punt on, because I think on Antonio, even after the game against Luton, which is obviously why you'd bring him in, he plays Liverpool and Man City, and sure, those are difficult matches, but Antonio has scored several goals against both of those teams before, especially Liverpool. He has a really good record against Liverpool. And I think West Ham is the type of team that could score against anyone and can score on the counter-attack. I'm going to take a look at that next week as well, looking into like players that are like the focal point of their attack compared to like the talisman like Madison and Fernandes, just to compare the points between the talisman for the team. If they play against a better team, how will that affect them? Yeah, that was kind of jumbled up, but either way, yeah, those are my final thoughts. Antonio, if you could get him in personally, I've said to Kevin, who's on a wildcard this week, my co-host, that you should probably try to get Antonio in for this 1 game week at least, to play him against Luton, because I think Antonio can have a massive haul, but sadly I can't fit him into my own squad currently. So yeah, I'm going to have to go without West Ham players again. So hopefully they keep jinxing, or I keep jinxing them in the opposite direction where they do really well, because I don't have them at it, and I don't back against them in my result predictions as well. But anyways, that has been this video, 25 minutes of my team selection and my thoughts for this coming game week. I hope you have a nice weekend. Hope you have a nice game week. Not as good as mine, but yeah, I'll see you around next time. And please subscribe and try to get me closer to that 10K subscriber count for next season. So yeah, see ya and goodbye.